Scene 17. The Moor? Zahra scoffed at Grace. That could mean anyone of a swarthy hue. People call me a Mooress all the time. Skeen, they even call the captain a Moor. There are Moors, and then there's the Moor, Chocht told Zahra, then looked to Grace. I agree with you. It obviously refers to Wellington, although I find it damned hard to believe the man's involved in a treasonous plot. I wager he's being framed. He spread his hands to address the table. But I'd not wager my life on it. While promptly turning the letter in would show initiative and loyalty, the mere fact that its contents accuse the Queen's own spymaster places us in extreme jeopardy. The improbability of the accusation will rouse suspicion of forgery or manipulation. We'd need overwhelming evidence and a damned flawless story to avoid being seen as traitors at worst, or pawns at best. But you're saying we have a chance? Cannon asked hopefully. Kit sniffed and wiped her face with a sleeve, embarrassed that she'd broken down so dramatically. But treason meant burning, and that was her worst fear. A chance? Zahra frowned at Cannon. A chance of what? We've no chance now, but to destroy that infernal letter. Oh, so now we destroy it, eh? Cannon barked. That was my damned idea in the first place. And destroy it, Zahra snapped, and flee to the farthest reach and ring of the Heliorim. All of us, the women too. I'll not see Chastity and the others punished for our blunder. Our blunder? Vincent snapped irritably. He had an awkward arm around Grace to help hold her up as she leaned against him. 'Twas that damned girl's impulsive, thievish humours that got us into this mess. Grace wiped tears from her eyes, smudging more ink on her face, and looked up at him, furrowing her brow. Cannon looked puzzled. Girl? What girl? There's a girl in this stew now. This whole thing is getting cursed muddled. Zahra sighed, and Kit tensed, clutching the fabric of her breeches. Aye, my wits be grievously confounded, Thrain agreed. Does it really make a damned difference at this point, Captain? Vincent glared at Chocht. I don't ken why it mattered in the first damned place. Given we're all facing the scaffold, I'm not sure it does any more. Chocht looked to Kit and quirked an eyebrow. I suppose we'll just have to trust one another, eh? Kit hesitated, then let out a sharp exhale and raised her hands. My name's Katherine Tarlton. I'm a base, craven wench and a wicked, freckled trull, except I'm a maiden, wanted for the murder of a nobleman's son with a 5 sovereign bounty on my head, who pinched something because 'twas shiny and thus swived you over by accident. I didn't mean to cause no harm. Skeen, Kip, Cannon whistled. £5, you say? 'Tis Kit, she corrected. Thrain tilted his head curiously, and Puddle Wrench gave a high-pitched chortle. Not thou truly a woman? Thrain asked Kit. Yes and no, Sebastian replied. Both and neither. He's a female essence entombed in male flesh. I've tried to explain this to you before. She's a damned girl, Vincent exclaimed, holding out his hand toward Kit as he glared at Sebastian. She's not a woman with a cock, you sodden git. Cannon blinked, jaw slack, then leaned closer to Kit, lowering his voice. You're sure you're not a lad, eh? There truly be no yard in those breeches, but a gash. Aye, Kit said. Has been so my whole life. Checked again myself in the jakes not an hour ago, to be sure. 'Tis a gash for certain, and sure as the flayed god lives. Zahra banged a dagger hilt on the table for attention. Hoy! As fascinating as I'm sure Kit's tender young pie is, we have far more important issues at hand. Foremost is how we spirit ourselves and 6 women out of this accursed city.
7, Cocked corrected.
You're forgetting the madame. Asdrael, take the old bitch, Zahra snapped. She can burn for all I care. What kind of overwhelming evidence would we need to be seen as loyalists? Kit blurted out, thinking rapidly. She was already running from the headsman, and she was tired of it. She didn't give a clipped farthing if the Queen was killed. In fact, it might be for the best. At least that was her family's unspoken opinion, given the Tarltons were all Panveric, secretly, of course. But if this calamity could be turned around into a royal pardon... Intercepted communications and confessions from known conspirators to begin with, Vincent considered. But that's a damned fool's hope. Running will only prove we're traitors, Kit argued, looking around the table. Why settle for exile, hunted for the rest of our lives by conspirator and crown alike, when we can get royal pardons and rich reward? She sat up straighter and held up a fist. Let us be hunters, not prey. Let us scour the shadowed alleys, intercept the whispers of seditionists, and wring confessions from their craven lips. Kocht looked like he had severe indigestion, but then started chuckling, and Kit's cheeks flushed. She's not wrong, he told the others after he'd composed himself. Fleeing indeed makes us prey, forever. If we destroy the letter and run, we lose our only leverage. The collaborators will be hunting us, and Lady Sahanako is like to sell us out the moment it suits the old pirate. But if we turn hunters ourselves, we could shift the board. He looked to Zahra. We're not without resources, including chastity. Perchance, she considered. I'm not sure, Captain, 'tis a huge risk. But if there are mutterings of a plot, her network is bound to pick up on it. We'll need coin, she won't sell her secrets free. Not e'en to me. Kocht grunted. She will if she kens she's facing a scourging and rotting in Maidenwell as the brightest of all her possible futures. Thrilling as this dramatic pivot may be, Sebastian said slowly, if the plot's real and Wellington's in on it, what then? Then we prove it and let the Queen's men gut him. Kocht shrugged. Or we prove he's clean and pin it on the real snakes. Either way, we need hard evidence, not accusations. The expressions around the table weren't encouraging. Kit decided it was time to don the rousing speaker and draw from the dozens of powerful, motivational orations she'd rehearsed and performed. She placed her hands firmly on the table and stood, clearing her throat. "O noble hearts," she began in a firm alto with dynamic rhythm and practiced emphasis. "Ye valiant souls who sit afore me, lend me thine ears and let thy spirits be kindled by the fire of resolve." "Sit down," Zahra told her. "Now's not the time for grand theatrics." But Kit was undaunted. "Fear not the rack, nor the brand, nor the headsman's axe, for we are nimbler than their clumsy machinations. They deem us low, unworthy, but therein lies our strength. Who suspects the players, the fey, the outcasts? We stand upon the precipice of peril, where shadows of treason cast their dread pall o'er our motley band. Aye." Zahra stood and collared Kit, forcing her to sit as Sebastian clapped slowly, nodding. "That was rather good," he said. "Precipice of peril indeed. Rather damned good, in fact. Did you just improvise that on the spot?" "Zahra, why e'er did you stop her? 'Twas right rousing." "Verily, mine bowels were moved," Thrain grunted. "This young maiden bears greater valour than we, and shows us craven by compare." "Certainly has bigger stones than I do," Canon muttered. "Do go on," Sebastian said, waving at her. "What's next?" "Aye," Thrain said. "Pray continue." She glanced at Zahra and stammered for a moment, then found her voice again and extended a hand to Kocht. "Our captain, thou hast laid bare the perils, yet I see in thine eyes a flicker of belief that we might yet triumph." Zahra, with charm and guile, shall loosen tongues that guard betrayal. Vincent shall claw out ciphered secrets. Canon, Thrain, Sebastian, Puddle-wrench, each of ye bring thy heart, thy fist, thy cunning to this cause. And Grace, sweet Grace, let thy tears be not of sorrow but of resolve, for we shall write a tale to rival the grandest plays. Let us hunt the truth, defy the traitors, and carve our names in glory. Hear, hear, Sebastian said, clapping louder. Canon toasted her, and Zahra rolled her eyes, but a proud smile played across her lips. Grace kissed Vincent's cheek and blushed as he glowered, while Thrain nodded in approval, and Puddle-wrench hopped excitedly. Kocht's gaze lingered on Kit for several long moments, a wry twist to his lips. Then he stood, silencing everyone in the room. I'll admit the girl's idea is audacious and foolhardy. But as I said before, 'tis also not entirely without merit. Skeen, I've faced worse odds and lived to see another blooming, and have the scars to prove it. His dark eyes narrowed. But we must act the fox if we're to outwit the hounds. For our time is short, and we must race swiftly. Even now the collaborators will be searching for who stole the treasonous evidence, and within mere bloomtides will be upon us. He cast his hard gaze around the table. If we're to succeed at this bold and risky endeavour, it must be a unanimous decision. So I ask you, my Stygian blades, who is with this precocious child? Who will stand beside her and say, "Aye, we shall not run like craven curs, but prevail"? The table was silent for a long, tense moment. Then Thrain inclined his head toward Kit. "Aye, fair maiden," he intoned gravely. "My axe is thine." "And my pistols, Byskin!" Canon bellowed, banging his cup on the table. "And my quill!" Grace shouted. "And my artifice!" Puddle-wrench squeaked as her contraption shot off another sulphuric green spark. "And my sword and pizzle!" Sebastian declared with a flourish. Zahra half turned, covering her mouth and laughing as she waved a hand. "Aye!" Grace elbowed Vincent sharply. "Aye," he muttered, rubbing his ribs. "And my shadows."